I understand the frustration when it comes to weight loss. What do we do? Do I want to lose weight? Do I want to lose fat? Do I want to look better? Do I want to have better health? What's my options for doing all of the above? I get the frustration because a lot of times we do all the right things. Sometimes we diet, sometimes we exercise, maybe we do both. Maybe we should just have surgery. We don't really realize what's best for us. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do something that's never been done before. We're gonna go through and explain in detail all of your options. And then we're gonna let you decide what's best for you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Gupta and welcome to Wellness in the Low Country. I'm the Medical Director for Fast Fit Body Sculpting and I'm also President of Hilton Head Concierge Physicians. Our goal today, get your pen and paper out. We're gonna go education hardcore. Today, we're gonna talk about all the different weight loss and fat loss options. And this is going to be just an informational everything A to Z, so in one sitting, in one place, you can find out everything that perhaps you've wondered about or want to know, or someone that you know has talked about, asked about, or wondered about. Now, we're going to break this up into a few different sort of segments, if you will. We're going to first talk about surgical options, all right? Then, after the surgical, we're going to talk about a slew and the ever-growing, it seems, non-surgical options. So with that said, let's jump right in. We're going to start off, and I want to talk briefly about weight loss versus fat loss. You'll hear people make this distinction, and sometimes or oftentimes it's a very subtle distinction, but the importance of it is actually very, very important. So what is weight loss? What does weight loss mean? Well, what's our body weight made of? We have bones, muscle, water, fat. This is what makes up our body weight. We have organs, but our organ weight doesn't really fluctuate as adults. So when we talk about weight loss, we're talking about, okay, where am I going to lose that weight from? Well, it's going to come from bone, muscle, water, or fat. This is the distinction of weight loss versus fat loss. Now, one would argue that you don't really want to lose bone, you don't really want to lose muscle, you don't want to lose water, and this is why it becomes important when you're considering a weight loss versus a fat loss option. From a surgical standpoint, we have both. We have weight loss options and fat loss options. Surgical forms of fat loss. The most common one out there is a procedure called liposuction. What is liposuction? This is when a surgeon will go in and through an incision literally suck out the fat from just underneath the surface of the skin. We have two types of fat. Now, I'm going to show you a diagram here. Let's go to this diagram on the screen. What you're looking at here is on one side you have the image of a man, on the other you have the image of a woman. What both of these diagrams show is we actually have two types of fat. Not all fat is equal. Just underneath the surface of the skin, you see that labeled there, it says subcutaneous fat. As you're looking at that layer, then deep to that or behind that are our abdominal muscles. Behind the abdominal muscles, behind the rib cage, surrounding all of our vital organs, our heart, our lungs, our diaphragm, our kidneys, our pancreas, everything is what's called visceral fat. Now, let's break away from that diagram and I'm going to show you a couple resources so you're not taking my word for it. Again, I don't know everything, you don't know everything. Let's go to people who do know more than we do. This is an article from Harvard Medical School and I'm just going to read it to you. Harvard Medical School says, excess body fat contributes to major causes of death and disability, including heart attacks, strokes, high blood pressure, cancer, diabetes, osteoarthritis, fatty liver, and depression. Faced with these risks, it's no wonder that you want to know how much you should weigh. But this common and important question is actually the wrong question. For health, the issue is not how much you weigh, but how much abdominal fat you have. This is supported further by article done on belly fat by the Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic says excess visceral fat, that dangerous fat that lives behind the rib cage, excess visceral fat, even in people with a healthy BMI, is strongly linked to elevated blood sugar, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, fatty liver, and inflammation throughout the body. These factors fuel the development of heart disease, liver disease, diabetes, and cancer, increases your risk of premature death. In contrast, fat stored just under the skin, that subcutaneous fat that we were talking about, is not as damaging. Okay, so what does this mean for us? Well, liposuction, first and foremost, understand this. We don't get more fat, okay? We're born essentially a little bit after adolescence. We have all the fat our body is going to have. What happens from that point on is the size of those fat cells. So as we eat more, those fat cells can get bigger, or those fat cells can shrink. We're not producing more fat cells, all right? So what happens with liposuction? It's a surgical procedure. We go in, and when we do this procedure, we can't cut behind the ribs. We're not going to the heart and those vital organs. We can't touch visceral fat. So we go in and we suck out some subcutaneous fat. Now, we already heard from Mayo and from Harvard that this is the fat that actually has no health consequences to us. Second most important fact, fat cells serve a purpose. We store toxins in fat cells. They serve a purpose with our body's temperature regulation, and we only have stem cells in two parts of the body, our fat cells and our bone marrow. So if I go in and I artificially, surgically suck out some of the fat cells, my body is going to blow up in size the other fat cells in and around other areas, sometimes even the areas immediately surrounding that, because it needs that storage space. And this is why most people who have liposuction will say, you know, it seemed to work for a while, and after they got past the pain and the scarring and the healing, but then the fat seemed to come back. Well, that's why. That's why that happens. So that's the surgical form of fat loss. What are non-surgical forms of fat loss? Well, there's two different ways to do it. You can kill fat cells or you can shrink fat cells. We've already touched a little bit on the dangers of killing fat cells and why you don't want to do that. Let's talk about a couple ways that you can. There's laser assisted or RF assisted, meaning they're using a form of radiation, kind of like the radiation that comes from your cell phone. We all know that radiation is bad. What do we use radiation for? Well, we use radiation to help kill cancer cells, right? Radiation and chemotherapy. Radiation kills cells. This is one form that they are using, and any of the laser forms that you see are working with this. These are things like Sonabella, M-Sculpt, TrueSculpt, LightRx. These are just some of the examples of what is laser-assisted liposuction, or I'm sorry, lipolysis, laser-assisted lipolysis. So they're killing fat cells. Again, I personally, as a physician, don't recommend killing fat cells because they actually serve a purpose and they tend to come back. And that's aside from the pain and the scarring and things like that, okay? When we do this, these fat cells are now dead, they're gone. We've lost space where we can have stem cells, we've lost space where the body stores toxins. And what else happens? And this happens in both forms of ways to kill stem cells. So the other form is freezing the fat cells. A common form or way that you'll probably hear a lot about in doing this is what's called cryolipolysis. Cryo meaning cold, lipo meaning fat, lysis means kill. The most common one of this is cool sculpting. So again, aside from the fact that this is only for subcutaneous fat, it's not doing anything for visceral. Aside from the pain, the bruising, the scarring, and you can pull up complications of cool sculpting on your website, and it's amazing what's out there. But what happens with this? You suction some of that fat, you cryo inject it to freeze it, to kill it. These fat cells now, as a surgeon, no surgeon's going to go in if you have a bad appendix and they're going to tie off that appendix and then leave it in there. Or you've got a really bad gallbladder and they go in and tie it off so that it dies and then leave it in there. What happens? That organ then necroses. It withers away, it rots, okay? And it releases toxins when it does that. Fat is no different. When we use a laser or radiation or freezing techniques to kill fat cells, they're not removing it. All right, you're not being cut open. These are all superficial techniques that they're using to kill the fat cells. Guess what? Those fat cells are inside the body rotting, and it's releasing toxins. Remember, toxins are stored in our fat cells, so now we've killed the storage space, or some of the storage space, and we've added the toxin load. So the other fat cells have to blow up to store these toxins. Plus, it's a 1 to 3 month period, a load on the liver, our body's detoxifier, to try and help clear those toxins that we just created because we artificially killed a part of our body and left it in there. You got a rotten tooth, you don't go to the dentist and the dentist says, okay, let's just leave it in there. You take rotting things out of the body so it doesn't produce toxins. This is my take on killing fat cells, whether using laser to do it or freezing techniques. So what's the alternative to killing fat cells? Well, we can shrink them. We can shrink fat cells. This is where LED light technology comes in. And LED light technology has been around for a couple decades. LED light technology actually has a lot of benefits to the body outside of fat loss. It's only most recently in the last few years been used in the fat loss realm. It was being used for years in the skin realm, in the anti-aging world, in pain reduction, for rehabilitation. What happens, one of the benefits of red light technology, and I should say also, red light technology has been out there for a long time, but there's lots of different frequencies, wavelengths within red light, ranging from infrared to all the way to the other spectrum. Not all red light technology is the same, and that is very important to understand because you'll see all sorts of things out there on the web. Here's this handheld this or that or the other, and none of these have been clinically proven or guaranteed to have an effective result, except for one of them, and I'll get to that in a moment. So red light technology has been used in the anti-aging world because there are a lot of benefits to it. And I want to put this visual up on the screen for you to look at. What this shows is benefits of red light technology, and what you can see here, minimizing wrinkles, fine lines, reduces crow's feet, improves skin tone. How does it do that? Well, red light technology activates what's called fibroblasts. These are cells in the skin that create collagen and elastin. This collagen and elastin, these are proteins that improve the body's skin turgor, your skin tone, your elasticity. Red light technology has been shown to increase blood flow, help with regeneration, circulation, photorejuvenation, creates more skin moisture, improves your circulation, reduces the pore size of the skins. You can read the list on there. One of the other biggies is detoxification. Toxins are stored in our fat cells. If you don't do something to detoxify, you won't have a successful fat loss result. This is another area where diet and exercise fail us because we're not doing anything to detoxify. So what is out there that can work, that can do all of this? In my research, speaking as a physician, I have found that fast-fit body sculpting is a very effective way using LED light technology. So one, that means we're not invasive, we're not going for any surgical procedures, there's no recovery downtime. Two, it means that we're not killing any fat cells, we're shrinking them. Three, it is the only technology that has been shown to not just address subcutaneous fat, which every other procedure we talked about only deals with subcutaneous. It's the only procedure that has been shown, or the only technology that has been shown to affect visceral fat as well.
We're not finished yet. There's still some more options. Dr. Gupta is going to go into detail about weight loss surgery. But before that, I want you to hear from a few of our FastFit clients.
Well, I was pretty desperate. I had done a lot of fitness and tried to lose a bunch of weight, and initially I would lose the weight, but it would always come back.
Going to the gym, watching what I eat, watching what I drink, cardio, weightlifting.
£15.8 of pure fat.
I have lost 22 pounds.
I'm down almost 20 pounds.
29 pounds of pure fat.
I've lost a total of 79 pounds.
If you want it, you try. Don't give up.
Ever since graduating college, weight gain was a yo-yo for me. Everything was going great, and then all of a sudden the weight would start going up. My energy level was going down. It's a constant battle. After I had my son, lost all the weight, regained it back. And I thought I was doing a pretty good job of hiding it, wearing different clothes. But as a teacher, when all those students are walking through my doors, it was constant, almost every day or every other day. somebody's coming up to me asking me if there's a baby in my belly or when I'm going to have the baby. And it wasn't just my students. It was people at the grocery store, people at the park. You know, that was what my physique had took on and what that weight gain. So I saw a commercial while I was sweating it at the gym, trying to bust the weight off. I saw a commercial for Fast Fit, and I thought I'd go check it out. Immediately once I saw the technology, I thought, well, maybe this is what I've been looking for. Maybe this is what I really need to do to get it going. And so signed up and fell in love with the whole program. Not just the technology and the way it starts just kind of jump-starting your body, but the great people in the company cheered me on, gave me tips, support along the way. And by the end of my time period with Fast Fit, I was rocking it. Compliments from people at work, people asking questions, how did you do that? What did you change? And all I can say is Fast Fit's the way. I love my job, love the work location and everything about it. But I always wondered what it would be like to be like one of my colleagues who rode his bike to work. When the opportunity arose for a job closer to home, I thought, here's my ticket. Paired with Fast Fit, I have more energy, I ride my bike to work. All my colleagues, you ride from there? You ride that far? It's really not that bad, guys.
One of the coolest things is she's riding her bike to school a lot more, and our students are noticing this, and I'm seeing a lot more students riding their bike, and they're asking questions about why she's riding her bike so much and how she goes up all these hills. It's pretty neat to see someone at our school bring such change to all these other kids as well.
My mom, before she went to Fast Fit, she was really fat and couldn't keep up. So then she tried Fast Fit, and then she got much more thinner. And now she's like herself.
I love that story. But now Dr. Gupta is going to explain weight loss surgery. You know, there's a reason they don't call it fat loss surgery. Fat loss is when we lose this. So let's let Dr. Gupta explain.
Historically, one of the first procedures that was out there was gastric bypass. You may also hear this referred to as Roux-en-Y gastric bypass. That's the official, the technical name. What does this mean? Now, I don't want this to be coming from me. This is, I don't know everything, you don't know everything. None of us knows everything. So we utilize the resources that we have available to us, okay? And one of the resources that I'm going to use today is UCLA, a very well-respected institution. From their Department of Surgery, they actually have great informational pieces there that explain the surgery. I'm going to use that just to give you a little bit of information and some background. So I'm going to pull my computer out here. This is what UCLA says about gastric bypass surgery. So it says it's a type of bariatric or weight loss surgery, and what happens during this surgery is you're going to utilize a surgical procedure to actually limit the stomach and the intestines. So what's the goal here? Bariatric surgery, or gastric bypass surgery being one example of that, is really for folks who are morbidly obese, where this is a physical way to force folks to reduce their intake, to reduce the amount of calories that can be held. So what this does is you go in, and I'm going to show you a graphic of this here momentarily. What you do is you go in and you actually staple off or limit a portion of the stomach, creating a new smaller stomach pouch, and then you bypass the entire first part of our small intestines, which is called the duodenum, and they reattach the second part of the small intestines to the stomach. Sounds like a lot, sounds complicated, but I'll show you a graphic that's going to make that very easy to understand. Now, here are some of the issues with that. The vast majority of our absorption, where we take in our nutrients, our vitamins, our minerals, etc., takes place in the stomach and in the small intestines. So here's what UCLA says about this. So the way they describe it is you're going to make a small stomach pouch about the size of an egg. Now let me just give you some perspective on this. Typically, the average adult human stomach holds about 40 ounces of content. When you create this small stomach pouch, you're going to reduce that to about a 2-ounce pouch. It's going to allow you to eat about 2 tablespoons at a sitting. It's a drastic reduction, a drastic change, and it has a lot of consequences from a nutrient and malabsorption standpoint, and they discuss that fully as part of the limitations and complications. So what we talk about with this, and let's go to this video here. You're going to see this video up on your screen, and what we're looking at is, here's an image of the stomach with its intestines. Now this tube that you can see coming down from the top, that's your esophagus. And what they're showing here is food coming in from the esophagus entering into the stomach. And what you're going to see is, as they open this up, you see the contents holding typically, again, about 40 ounces of stomach contents. This is now where our gastric acids, our enzymes that help with digestion are all breaking these things down and then helping it move. Now you see it moving in through the first part of the small intestines, that duodenum. All right. Now what happens with surgery? Here's what you're seeing now, the rest of the intestines, where the duodenum being that first part, the jejunum being that second part of the intestines. What happens from a surgical standpoint is, instead of that stomach, the stomach is divided into 2 different sections, creating what's actually a small stomach pouch, and you divide the intestines, a jejunum. Now you create a new connection between that stomach pouch and the jejunum. Here is a graphic showing exactly what happens. Now you can see they're creating this small stomach pouch, and this is a huge change of the amount of stomach that once was 40 ounces of contents to 2 ounces. This is literally about the size of an egg, is what your new stomach pouch will be. And this is showing now dividing off, closing off the duodenum entirely, attaching the jejunum is going to get directly attached to that new stomach pouch. You're going to see that right here. This is your new gastric system. It bypasses almost all of the stomach and the duodenum. Again, the problem with this is where nutritional absorption takes place. Yes, you will get fewer calories because of this, but you are also going to get less vitamins, minerals, nutrition. All right, let's break away from this video and come back to what they say. And I'm going to read for you right off of their website here. What can you expect after? Well, it says for the first month, you'll only be able to handle small amounts of soft food and liquids. What this means is, for the first 5 weeks, you're doing liquids for the first couple weeks, small amounts, about 2 tablespoons at a time, of soft foods afterwards. It's not until after 5 weeks that you can begin to even introduce real food back into the diet. The body was intended to have real food. So from a nutritional standpoint, you can ask any surgeon, you don't want to have surgery unless you absolutely need it. This is before we go into all the other elements, such as surgical complications, the time lost from work, etc. Now that's gastric bypass. Let's take a look at this video now on gastric sleeve. Gastric bypass, very invasive, longer recovery, and it had a higher complication rate. So this is where gastric sleeve evolved. Let's take a look at this video. What you're going to see here with the gastric sleeve video is you see the same kind of cartoon. Now with this, you're not being cut wide open. It's done laparoscopically with 5 different incision points where they insert 5 different things into you so that they can work on the stomach. And as we look at this video, what you're going to see happening here is, rather than creating just that egg size 2-ounce pouch, you're going to have more of a tube. This is actually in real life about the size of a banana. So you're going to see on this video esophagus coming into the stomach, as we saw previously for the normal. And what you're going to see here now is the outside part of the stomach is actually stapled off and removed. And just as previous, you're going to end up with a much smaller portion of stomach that's left, about the size of a banana. Now, instead of going from 40 ounces to 2 ounces as we talked about before, we're going to go from 40 ounce stomach content to about 8 to 10 ounces. It's a little less drastic than gastric bypass, which is why it has become more common in the US and worldwide, but we still end up bypassing here the essential parts of absorption for nutrients. When you have, so let's break away from the video now. When you have decreased absorption of nutrients, part of what happens with these surgical alternatives is for the rest of your life, you have to take vitamins, minerals, supplements to include, otherwise you'll end up with deficiencies of at least iron, calcium, B12, and folate. For life, you're going to be on nutrient supplements. Now, the body likes nutrition from real food far more than it likes nutrition from supplements. So we really need to weigh out these risks and benefits as we start thinking about, okay, do I really want to go for surgical procedures? There's another surgical procedure out there commonly called lap banding or laparoscopic band procedure. This is really fallen by the wayside, again, because of technical problems and high complication rates. Surgery is not easy on the body.
So that was a lot of great information. In today's day and age with coronavirus, who in the right mind would want to go have surgery or expose himself to anything invasive? So what if there was a way that we could lose the fat that we want to lose where we want to lose it? Well, with technology, everything is possible. As a matter of fact, there's things we can do with technology we just can't do, just impossible on our own. For instance, we can't fly. We get on an airplane and we can fly. So what do all of these people have in common? Fast fit body sculpting, where we can turn back the clock, where you can get more energy and even boost your immune system and look the best that you have looked in years. So I'm here to tell you there is a way. You can lose that stubborn fat from exactly where you want to and tighten up that skin, improve the quality of the skin, the fine lines, the wrinkles, make yourself look young again, and get your health back and boost your immune system all at the same time. Fast fit body sculpting is the way. All you have to do is pick up the phone, give us a call. We'll give you a free educational consultation. We're going to do a detailed body composition of your body, show your body a blueprint, show yourself a blueprint from your body on the inside out, tell you exactly what we need to do to get you great results, and guarantee it without dieting, without exercise like crazy, and without surgery. So give us a call right now and come to FastFit.